So our next guest is Kevin Harper, and he is the Changing Mind Chief Enabler, which I really love the title. And we have a deep dive into what authentic leadership is. So Kevin and I have a heart-to-heart conversations, and we both look into what authentic leadership means to us, as well as how we think authentic leadership should be shown out in the world. And I truly admire Kevin. He's someone I met during the time when I was with my previous role. And with that, I always have a deep admiration of his wisdom, knowledge, and how he phrase and ask questions, which enable people who talk to him to really explore further of what one was thinking about. And all the conversation I had with him is always amazing. And so I'm truly honored to have him on our show. So let's dive in.
How do we lead? Wrong word. How do we keep the different roles that we have to play?
Yes.
Right. And how do we say? I think the word that you use is authentic. Yeah. How do we say true? Oh, that's a fascinating question. I love that. So I don't know the answer, right? But I would love to. I'm happy to explore anything, right? But what is authenticity? What is it? I don't know. Yeah.
That's why I thought when I thought about the concept of authentic leadership, like I realized that we all are leader of ourselves. Yeah. We have to lead our life, isn't it? So, yeah.
Well, I mean, who is the leader?
Yeah.
Right. What's the role of a label? Does a label make leadership authentic? Okay, it fascinates me and deeply worries me.
I agree
that people will contact me or want to speak to me because of a job title. A job title that I absolutely I don't like it. Right? It really feels uncomfortable. I don't like CEO. They want to talk because you're the CEO, and I think, but I'm the worst person to talk to from the team. Right, I look at the skill set in the team. I think, you should talk to a Dan, or you should talk to a Megan, or you should talk to her Mackenzie, or whomever. Right, they know more about this than I do, but they want to talk because of the job title. Job title does not make me a leader. Could make me could put me in a role of being a good manager or even a bad manager, but does not make me an authentic leader. So I wish we could burst down labels. And just look at people and go, you're good at that, you can do it, you're good at that.
But our society has a structure. Have a hierarchy. So we kind of just have to be boxed into this. So people can easily just switch on and say, oh, you are this, or switch off. But on the other hand, why I call it authentic leadership is that person never see themselves as leader, but yet they actually just like the fire. They blink. Without even thinking they're blinking, just like the firefly. That's what I call it, like even like a lighthouse. You dare to guide the boat back. But quiet and just shiny to guide people back to a safe home. Without asking for anything.
So there's so many ways of leading. I don't know anything about it. So leader, there's also what am I talking about? There's leadership, like you can learn. I've never done that. I've never wanted to be a career manager or career anything. So there's like a textbook, formal way.
I agree.
And then there's a heart way. Right, when you want to be true to I guess yourself, right? Or true to others. And I think that's that means that anybody, what it means anybody and everybody is leading, as you say. Right. So that's kind of that what it means. That means that I can speak to anybody and learn from them and be led by that person.
And honestly, let's say it's a woman being being abused, like family harm, whatever, and yet there's that inner knowing, despite she's saying, and then there's this inner knowing, this is not good enough for me. I really want to find a place and to step outside. And that took a lot of courage.
Yeah.
To finally find a way to, like even just start again. And I would call that authentic leadership as well. That leadership of themselves, taking that steps, and not because they feel like I need to be seen by audiences. I need an accolade or anything, but because there's that inner little voice telling me this has been my life. I really want to walk away from this.
Yeah.
And so I want to honor individual. They might not be seen as leader in a negative way, but letting them know, actually, we all can be a leader of ourselves, even though we might not use that label.
Yeah.
But in the end of the day, we all lead our life.
That's actually quite a nice thought. If we all were encouraged to think of ourselves as leaders, leader of self, leaders of groups, leaders of bigger groups, but if everybody's a leader, that takes away the mystery of leadership and just asks the question of what type of leader. I don't know what that means, but I think that's a very nice, a very important understanding. Right. What it does is it enables everybody.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And the great privilege of, I guess the great privilege in my life, and certainly my work in my life now, is that I have some agency. I have more agency in a small organisation than I ever had in a really big organisation. So I have a degree of control. So if you've got a degree of control, then you've got a degree of choice. If you've got a degree of choice, you've got maybe some way of leading. Right? So it might be difficult to leave, but if you can find a way to lead, then that's leading yourself to a different situation. Right? So we don't see the terrible, are we not, at not seeing the journey?
Yes.
So we'll see the success measured in a moment, measured in a job title. So the job title gives you permission to be a certain somebody. No one knows what the journey towards that was, right? But that journey is absolutely critical to being where you find yourself and how you do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
And yeah, I don't know.
I like what you just described, and that's what I call the authentic leadership as well, because it's the journey, not the destination. Because the true leadership is when no one is watching, you keep going. No one give you applause, you keep going. No one say how a wonderful job you have done, but you just have that innate knowing that I'm not going to give up just because I haven't had that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I have. It's not until I've been, and I keep talking about work, but in life in general, it's not until I've been challenged that I realised I have a much bigger capacity than I thought I had. For things that I didn't think I could do, I realised that I can do. I might not want to do them, but I can do them. So, yeah, I don't think it's easy for anyone.
Yes,
everything is presented as immediate, easy, and I don't think anything is.
I agree. Right.
So you see the most perfect speech given at a conference, but you don't see the hours and hours of writing it and speaking it and standing in front of the bathroom mirror practicing it that came before that. Yeah. It's natural. He goes, not natural. Honestly, I didn't sleep. I was in tears before I went on. I didn't see any of that. Yeah. And I think, and we're expected to show. Sorry, when people are watching, people expect you to be just naturally good at it. And I think it's really important that in authentic leadership, people are willing to talk about how hard it is sometimes.
And my God, you're so good. You just hit the nail on the head, because that's exactly why I thought it's so important to have that kind of conversation and honoring people's journey, because people don't see it. Like, even I learned a lot of successful superstar, they have very rough time as well. It wasn't so successful immediately.
Yeah.
Like if you look back, you know, like hours of trainings, hours no one watching, let down, criticism.
Yeah.
You know.
Bad days, good days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They just saw them success, you know, like just can't, no. That's, but with society as a whole, I don't think we're good at telling truth and also vulnerabilities.
So maybe there's two things.
Yeah.
You got me thinking, Ivan.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe there's the truth that we're not good at telling the truth.
Yes.
But we're also not good at listening.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So as two such important things, right?
Yeah.
We need to communicate clearly, but we also need to be willing to listen openly.
Yes.
And there's not enough of that either.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's so much restricted listening that the truth is being told is not being heard. So you can tell your story beautifully, but if I'm not willing to listen to you, it doesn't matter how you've told your story. True. And I have an obligation to listen. So if everyone can lead, that means that everyone is willing to talk honestly, but also willing to listen honestly. Yeah.
And you just made me realize something as well, which I find like people that I connect to is emotional availability.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, to be able to listen is you need to make yourself emotionally available. And I think we lack of that. Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, you know, okay, so I work in lived experience, work with my own lived experience in mental health and more importantly, other people who have lived experience in mental health. I think that's the strength of a lived experience conversation because I think that lived experience are emotionally available.
Yes.
And are emotionally wanting to discover.
Yes.
All right. And so you can have a conversation that is potentially more open.
Wow. I love it.
And I honestly think that you can, I've said this many times, I believe it though. Yeah. I think if you walk into a room of professionals, you'll get a sense of knowledge and a sense of power. I think if you walk in a room of people with lived experience, you'll get a sense of strength. Right? And you need those things together. I think sometimes you can feel it.
Yes. I agree.
You look at them and you go, this room is strong.
Yeah.
Because there are people who have journeyed in sort of like darker times, for want of a better word, or against challenges and overcome the challenges.
Yes.
But who are tuned into those all the time.
Yeah. Wow.
Right, and it's part and parcel of who we are and what we do.
Yeah.
And you need both.
Yes.
Always an and conversation. But that emotional availability, absolutely. But it takes vulnerability, which of course
encourage.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
And also practice. You talked about your narrative, right? How you tell your story. You're very good at storytelling, Ivan. How you tell your story, how you tell it, and when you tell your story. These are all skills.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we probably learn by getting it wrong, getting it right. Yeah. Working at what needs to happen.
But I mean, like, Kevin, because, you know, like talking about emotional availability, also I feel that because we kind of presented ourselves authentically, means that we also are more willing to listen to things that are not being picked up by people, like people cue and all that.
Yeah.
So I felt like you're very good at reading people as well, not in a negative way, like you attune to what people need.
I don't know if that's true. I think that the important thing, we said earlier, is to care.
Yeah.
Right. So if you take that approach, right, and the strength from an experience, then you should, and probably automatically do, recognize that in somebody else. So if somebody else is having a hard time, then you are more likely to step forward.
Yes.
Than you are to step back.
Yes.
Right. And that's the courage, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. So you have a lived experience person in a room with someone who's struggling, they are way more likely to engage that person than not engage that person. And I think so. Stepping forward into some of those things, caring, right? We put so much, back to the same thing, we put so much pressure on having an answer, being good at what we do instead of just doing. So leaders are expected to be able to manage all these problems or say all of these things or whatever it is, right? I just don't think that's the way it is. I think that you're doing the best that you can in a moment, and that's exactly the same with everybody and everyone today. So your story of individuals, right? There'll be an aha moment, and then there'll be a a time when you journey through. Okay, what does that mean? How do I move it? How do we see? Jumping around, Ivan.
Not at all.
Seeing that progress. Too many finish lines and not enough celebrations of just change. Right? We don't ever reach a finish line, do we? Well, we do, but...
And also we believe the finishing line is the purpose.
Yes.
Actually, it's not.
Yeah.
It's the journey.
Yeah.
We forget, like, the society has stopped believing journey is a honoring thing.
Yeah.
Everybody just want that immediate outcome, social media, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But no one have now really want to honor that. That's why I think we have that imbalance or just instant result, instant outcome. You know, like, and we forget actually, and then immediately criticize like, oh, they don't achieve and all that, instead of pulling back and say, everything is a journey. You're not going to get it right the first time.
So how well does society respond to a mistake? And how does authentic leadership respond to a mistake?
I don't think that's why I don't think there's any more authentic leadership in the world.
Yeah, because the pressure to get everything right is so strong, but none of us do. How boring would it be to be right all the time?
Yeah.
Can't imagine.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, you can't.
And being constantly, that's why, you know, like, that's why I've never thought about those who in strong positions, like any leaders right now, are true leader. They are not. They are puppet. They are showmanship.
Yeah.
They are just showing people about what work. They are not telling the truth. They're telling what people want to hear.
So some of that is a perhaps a misunderstanding of leader and power.
Yes. Yeah.
I think like classic lived experience conversation, but in general, right? Just because you're leader doesn't mean you have power. Nobody actually really has all the power.
Yes.
So we all crave, you said hierarchy earlier, right? We all potentially think, it could be just a little bit higher up, it would be easier. Then you get there and you realize that actually you don't really have as much power. You're always answerable to somebody. And even if you got to be, I don't know, Prime Minister, then ultimately every 3 years you're answerable to the public. All right. So you think you got all the power, but if you try to do something that is unpopular, then you know instantly that. And so there's there's no such thing. So if you can't own the power, then we have to share it. Right. And so is authentic leadership about sharing power, enabling other people. And that the most beautiful part of my job is to see other people having a chance to do what their potential, what they can do. Yeah.
And honoring that and empower that.
Yeah.
And let them also shine. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is not easy, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's so important. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree, though, it's not easy because I felt quite often in the sector, what I have seen is people to a certain degree and then they have an ego suddenly, you know, like because of that power. I do believe sometimes power does collapse people for whatever reason. Power, money, two things I have seen so often.
About profile. All right, so, I don't know. I'm talking about things I don't understand, but right. you have to have the same conversation in a work sense. On one hand, I want to enable, I think the most important part of my job is to enable a lived experience community to have a voice, to learn, to create change. For those who want to, in a way that they want to do it, that changing minds can helpfully support. On the other hand, I have to be responsible to the organisation.
Yeah.
Right? The lights have got to be turned on.
Yeah.
Right? The doors have got to be able to open. And sometimes those two things create an imbalance. Right? And you can find very easily that scale tips. Right? I can become too controlling in my use of power in the community because the responsibility of the organisation is too high. The power is a balance, but you've got to start off with a willingness to share it.
And I think you have done some really important work that come out. But
But I think as a society we celebrate a certain perception of success, and that is to be seen. As you say, right? So we do shine a spotlight on people. And so that makes individuals successful rather than the group.
And also you're so conscientious, Kevin. I mean, like, having that is not easy as well, because it was like you're holding a light and the people say, this is your light, but you're saying, I can see it, but I also know people who love opportunity to hold this. Let's share it. How many people would be so generous and say, I'm not going to just give it all to myself?
I don't know if I think like that.
I know you don't.
I don't know. I think that more often than not. Yeah. I think it's my experience.
Yeah.
It's my personality.
Yeah.
Good and bad is that I often think that there are people who are much more able to do it than I am.
Wow.
And
even that itself, my God.
Oh no, I think that's just an honest. I mean, it's part and parcel of my experiences in life, and so I spend I need. I don't know how you say it really. I don't want people to tell me that I'm good, but I need others to be happy. Right, I'm a pleaser. I'm a people pleaser, and so that means that I'm more often likely to look out than look in. But it also means I'm more likely to be strongly critical of myself, whilst incredibly complimentary to others. But I genuinely believe that more often than not, it causes that constant imbalance.
And also, people don't understand is balancing the act between a organization and a organization became a persona.
Yeah.
And that is a very challenging of strike the balance. And so which one should be louder, the organization brain or the persona? Because that is where often then people only remember that person as the organization.
Yeah. So I think I had this conversation yesterday.
Hey,
with a little bit with the team, right? When we recognise that relationships are importantly held by individuals, but you need the relationship to sustain beyond that.
Yeah.
So one of the challenges of, I guess, leadership is, if it's the right word, is being able to look ahead. Like, the hardest thing is to look up and look out. Right? It is so easy to look down and be so in the moment, and the hardest thing is to look up and look out. So you need to know where you're going, and why you're going where you're going. You also need a really honest appraisal of how you sustain that journey. And you don't sustain that journey by an individual, because every individual is going to move on, right?
Exactly.
For whatever reason,
exactly.
Right? So, and whether that be for self-interest or other interests, so you can't build it on an individual. The individual is going to follow their journey. The journey of the organization is bigger than an individual. So you have to ask the question, if we describe a community can we establish a community that will last beyond whoever is here at the moment, right? Acknowledging that it will be organic. So I think that, in answer to your question, is the organisation or the collective, perhaps. The collective is more important than the individual. The individual's there to help, to serve. Is that right? Maybe even to serve for a little while. Very privileged position. I get the chance to come in, to serve an organisation, to serve a community, and then somebody else will do it.
And that's what I call authentic leadership, Kevin.
I might call it a relief. I have to think about it, but yeah. Well, so service is really important, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was speaking to Martin and Johnny recently, and he talked beautifully about service and service leadership. And it's a privilege. Right? It is a real privilege.
But what I really admire is that, like, that's my honest truth, is people need to see the name, not the person, because then when the person becomes bigger than the organizations, people forget what organization. They only see the person, and that is that will become biggest threat for the organization. Yeah, because
yes, that's true.
Because when that person gone, people is like, what happened to that? They forget that person is not that organization.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they link that person to that organization, and then that became a threat.
So does that talks a little bit to identity, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just another subject that I'm in.
Yeah.
As a white middle class male, my identity is incredibly comfortable, right, and works strongly in my favour. But the importance of being able to identify who we are as an individual, what we're like as an individual, and what matters to us as an individual, our values, our way of being, and the importance to do that with the organisation, and to say, well, what's your organisation's identity, right? And asking all the time, are we holding true to both of those things? If the organisation that I work in is becoming too much like me and not enough like the organisation, then I've gone too far, and the power is imbalanced. But that's a hard balance.
It is. Yeah, even just like Steve Jobs and Apple, example.
Yeah.
When he gone, like everybody was just so freaked out. So like, who's going to take it? But Samsung, do you know who is the CEO? You never ask.
No, that's a very good point.
You never ask. You never even know.
It's a very good point.
But you still believe in the brain.
Yes.
Without knowing the CEO. But Steve Jobs surprises. When he gone, like everybody is freaking out. So who's going to take over?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I haven't thought of that, but I agree.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think you need to see know the person who's in charge of it. Right?
Yeah.
And I don't think you need to.
Yeah.
Generally.
That's why I respect of you, because, right now we don't see, like, and really just honoring the organization name is a big deal, and having someone who can consciously having that foresight and step back and not letting that ego take over, it's not an easy task. Yeah.
Unless you prefer to hide, which I do, right? Because there's a fear. There's a genuine fear.
I laugh because I can understand. I'm like that.
Well, I mean, when I started in the job at Changing Minds, I can remember on more than one occasion and early on that I would sit in the room and wait for something to happen, and then realise that everybody was waiting for me to say something. It's like, sorry, I haven't thought of it. So you are. It's interesting, right? Showmanship is part of the job.
Yeah.
So we shine lights on people because we expect them to be the person to speak. It is the most beautiful event when I can walk into a room or into a meeting that is Changing Minds related and not have to be the person who speaks.
Exactly.
I shouldn't have to be.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be. Right.
And you're changing the dynamic as well, because it's like, I don't know, can we make decisions until they realize that, okay, like, he allowed that to happen. So I have confidence. I can, and again, quite quite often that role also set the scenes of how people is going to behave.
Yeah.
And that is the nuances that quite often unspoken of. Like, because then they learn, okay, wow, this is very empowering. I know I can have a voice. I know that voice will be honored one way or another, whether to listen, to challenge me to growth as an individual.
Yeah.
And that is a good space. That is because I don't believe in so-called work-life balance. I believe in creating a supportive environment. It's the two different things. Yeah. I also off topic.
No, I'm reflecting because I don't have work-life balance. My family would tell you that I don't have work-life balance.
I can imagine.
It causes distress, and it is right. And I would just, but they do create an environment that is supportive. As I was reflecting on it, I think that it is right. But it's up to me to bring my part of the environment, right? So it is. Yeah. It would be very easy to say, well, actually, you are creating an environment for me, but actually, of course, it's not the case. Yeah, we are creating an environment, and I am not bringing my part. Part of that environment is time, and I don't bring enough of it, or I bring it too late in the evening, or I bring it and I'm grumpy because there's something worrying me.
It doesn't necessarily, though. I mean, like, because I believe having that supportive environment, what happens is that 8 hours, people working together feel safe. That is the main things. And then when they get to go home, they're happy.
Yeah.
They know that 8 hours that they spend means something to them, feel their energy, walk away, feeling proud, and go home, create a stable environment for home.
Yeah.
That's huge. And we only looking at work-life balance, but you can have a work-life balance for 8 hours, and then you feel you go home angry, blah blah blah. Yeah. Then consequently, family create societal issues, and so that's why I believe genuine leadership is acknowledge that everybody in front of you are human beings, and they have some values and they belong to someone else or have association, affiliation, and you honor that space for them to be who they are. That is courage.
I think allowing people to be who they are is really is critical to the environment, but then also caring.
Caring.
So that's your point made earlier. That's your sharing and learning. You're listening. Your narrative and your listening. So if someone tells you a narrative that things are difficult, right, it's not enough to say, okay, yeah, right, fine. All right, take a day off. The caring is way deeper than that. Yeah. The caring is not about solving the problem of somebody, but it's showing that you genuinely care. Right, and actually, what can I do to help? Right, so it's not for me to solve or to say what should happen.
Or give an EAP number.
Yeah, exactly right. But it could very well be that for me, being at work is more important than not being at work. So if the workplace's response is instantly, I think you should go home, I don't want to go home.
Yeah.
Do not give me more time in my head with nothing to do. I need to be doing something. But just understand that I may have these emotions, or I may go through these things today. This might be my behavior, right? And it might be a little while.
Yeah.
Right? And that's trust.
Yes.
Isn't it?
So,
so all these things. Yeah. So doesn't it really come down to just being, I don't want to use the word nice, but nice is such an insipid word, right? But treating people respectfully.
Meeting where they're at and honoring their journey, their voices, and feel that they're being seen. Isn't it not just based on company policy? You can so easily pull out company policy and say, oh, you have to go home. But a lot of HR do that.
Yeah, of course.
They call it best practice. Bullshit. And so
move the problem on. I mean, we're very good at that, aren't we?
Yeah.
We move the problem somewhere else.
Yeah.
And eventually someone's got to hold the problem, right? And the problem is relational. Not enough of that.
And trust. And that's how you build trust.
Yeah. So when we have spoken, we change our minds, have spoken to people from lived experience, community in the past, and asked them what matters to them in terms of transformation, we don't get system-like language. We get two things. One is that people want options, but more importantly, and or perhaps more tellingly in this conversation, they just want a relationship. Right. So they're looking for a relationship. That relationship might not be the only one they need, but if they've got somebody somewhere who genuinely cares and supports, whilst other relationships are knowingly transactional, that will make a big difference.
And I only just lately able to articulate that so-called relationship is someone show up emotionally available.
Yeah.
I mean, I never, because I've been asking myself what love is. What the whole society is craving for. We all craving for someone can be emotionally available. But society now have become so institutionalized. You even have to call someone to be emotionally available for you to talk about problems.
Yeah.
I think that is scary. I'm off topic too.
We all want something different, right? So we're driven by an answer.
Yeah.
Well, there's not one answer, is there? There can't be one. If there was one answer, we would have found it by now.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Right? So there can't be one answer. There must be actually many answers. And I understand that you can't do them all individually, financially, but you can listen for them, and you can understand them, and you can think about how you respond. And if people want options and people want relationships, you can ask yourself the question, are we building a system or a response, if you prefer, that gives options and relationships? And I would say generally, probably an awful lot of people who work in the mental health workforce, addiction workforce, want to form relationships but aren't given time. So there's no lack of desire. If we just don't create the environment for that to happen. There's no shortage of caring leaders in our mental health workforce who want to do good by people.
Absolutely.
We just don't create the environment for that to happen.
Yeah.
So I would argue that actually we've got a lot of what we need.
Yeah.
We just don't necessarily
enable that.
Use it. Yeah.
Or create
people want to let people care.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's true, because I know the fact is, like when asked, many people say what changed them during recovery is someone believe in them.
Yeah.
Someone who show up and honor who they are, and suddenly they felt like they're being seen. And it's relational. It wasn't because of the medication or the best Western model care. It's not. It's just because they happen to meet someone.
That's right.
Yeah.
But all the other bits.
Yeah.
The medication and the counselling and the service access, they all would have been important.
Absolutely.
Right? If you didn't have them, then that person was impact would have been different.
Yeah.
But we remember, we're human.
Yeah.
We need to know that you care.
Absolutely.
It's a fundamental part of that relationship, or fundamental part of being able to improve.
Yeah.
And so we hold on to those people tight, don't we?
Yeah. Or even memories.
Yeah.
That little memories that you believe you're being seen at that moment when that person needed. Yeah.
So that's all. That's not. That's. If that's what you see, the challenge is how we create it. And that's that's why you get so many leaders, right? So leadership can be at a community level. A willingness to have a cup of tea with somebody when they're struggling is leadership. Through to, the willingness, as you say, to understand that a personal situation is harmful and taking steps to get out of it. That's leadership, right? That's all leadership. We just get to be leaders of different things. And it goes back to your point of earlier, which I think is right.
But so sorry, but like what you say also, we human beings so good at creating systems, none of that system actually support the functions of authentic leadership. They became the barriers.
Yeah.
And like what you say, I agree. In mental health addictions, people are lovely, genuine.
So we don't So if we can't control something, what do? We create a rule. Right?
Yeah.
Because I need you to behave in a certain way for something to work.
Yeah.
So I give you a rule.
Yeah.
And then you break that rule. So how do I respond?
Yeah.
I'll give you another rule.
Rules. Yeah.
Right? And I'll bury you under so many damn rules that you don't know who you are anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And part of that is to say, actually, authentic leadership is to say, yeah, we've got all these things. These are important. I understand why they exist, but who are you?
Yeah.
What would you do? What will work? What will work for you? HR says, I should send you home.
Yeah.
That's an option.
Yeah.
Right? But I care what other ways of doing it are there. Right? And I don't necessarily have the courage to do that often enough, but I know people who do. I know leaders who do. And they do it so well. So if individuals are complex, if people together are complex, if our circumstances are complex, why do we try to simplify everything? Well, surely we've got to learn to live with complex. Now we can, I believe strongly in being able to articulate very complex things simply.
Same.
Right, so that's a real challenge, and one that those who know me will know I get wrong so many times, all right? Because you're trying to articulate something which is complex in a way that can be understood back to your narrative. But things are complex. We shouldn't try to simplify the problem or the challenge, because then you just get a simple answer. And that will work for some people and not other people. And that's why we get the inequities that we see. Right? And just make the problem more complex.
Yeah.
It comes back a little bit to an earlier conversation about the label.
Yeah.
Right. So the label has an importance.
Absolutely.
Right. It has an importance in a particular system. It's a chip that you cash in a particular system. But people will only, or the conversation is limited by the label. Right? So assumptions are made based on the label. Right? An authentic interest, if we may use that word, is to say, well, okay, I understand the labels you wear. What's your experience? Right, so that's why the experience conversation is so important. Right? The label conversation assumes something, but the experience conversation helps me to understand that, okay, well, there are different people with different experiences and the same experience. Okay, that helps me to understand at a relational level or at a behavioral level how I interact. Because my work isn't part of that cashing in of the chip. I don't need to see the symptoms. I don't need to do something for it. I just need to understand the person in front of me. And if you say, well, actually, I struggle in a noisy office, and my response is, well, but you've got to come in 5 days a week because that's the rules. It's like, come on, there's no sense. Yeah, right. That's a rule for a rule's sake.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
And we can have rules that are applied collectively, and we can also understand that individuals are different. I know it's hard work.
It is, and
it sticks the sad journey again.
Yeah,
right. That label stays with the person, regardless of the journey. So we mentioned about the journey, right? So it's part of that listening skill is to understand what's relevant today versus what's not. What am I hearing? What am I saying? Right, and I can listen to a diagnosis, but I can hear an experience, and I actually go, they're not the same thing. Right, and I don't know. So authenticity is also part and parcel of questioning yourself, reflective practice, all the time. Do I know what I'm talking about? I think more often than not we don't. I think,
And there's another things that I also think is quite important is that congruence, like the genuine congruency of that person show up in different settings. Because I see you with another organization where you hold a meeting, you always hold it with such a gentleness, genuine authenticity and honoring people, and that's why you have that lasting impression of, like when I was attending that online meeting, and that kind of set the scenes of, wow, this is who Kevin is. And then when you move to another role, that's still you. You don't shift.
Well, a great fascination for me. Like, we talked a bit about systems, and I love understanding systems.
Same.
Right.
Because they
really know why. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But I do the way that they all join up. Yeah. But one of the things that often is, well, in my experience, is not discussed is what our contribution to that is. Right. So as an individual or as an organisation, you need to be really clear what you contribute and what you don't contribute. And there's this tendency, ego tendency. If there's an ego, as you described earlier, then there's the thought that the bit that you contribute is more important than anybody else, and there's no one person who's more important. If you take away any of those bits, it all falls over. Yeah. So in terms of leadership, or in terms of our roles, we need to know what it is that we contribute. And more often than not, I've come to learn that my contribution isn't one of leading. My contribution is more often than not connecting, and I hope enabling. Like, those are things that matter to me and I'm better at. So if I do anything like in a meeting or whatever, then connecting, enabling is what that's probably my mark of whether I'm doing it well or not, I guess. But it comes from contribution, knowing what I can do. If you wanted a meeting organised that needed a strong leader who was going to give you a clear direction, don't ask me to do it. It would be terrible. All right, so knowing what you can do, knowing what you can't do, and being clear is actually quite good.
Exactly. And it's like what you say, it's not like you need all that set of skills. That's why you can hire people, like to complement each other, and then still stay authentically and say, I actually have no answer. And that is again the vulnerability of having the courage and say, because when you say I don't have the answer, people might come back, and then they must start having more conversation. What is needed during those situations is that emotional availability to be present.
And I would like to think that I am somebody who cares about bringing a people perspective to whatever it is that I do. Right. And I work in mental health, and I work in lived experience, because I think that is a people lens. Right. And I that's the privilege of the job, right? To bring a people perspective. That's who I am.
I totally agree. That's what I've seen as well throughout your journey. It's like you're honoring human as who they are and bringing that voice forward.
And it's very easy to say that you bringing a people perspective is not done. I don't believe that it's done. We're getting better and better and better at it. But I think that you still have a strong situation in mental health and in health generally, where there is a problem defined by the system. There's a solution developed by the services. And then we ask people what they think. Right? That's not people-centered. People-centered is actually to say there's a problem defined by there's a problem. It needs to be defined and resolved by the system, by the services, and by the people. And those three bits are equal. And I think that's what I think lived experience. I think lived experience is a people perspective that needs to be heard. Very, very complex one. But it needs to be heard.
I love it, how you simplify the narrative and just...
Another thought is that it comes down to the fact that the what we want to do in terms of mental health and addiction has changed a lot in the last 10 years.
That's right.
We've gone from a conversation about the top 3% through to a wellbeing conversation and a primary care conversation. And that's got a lot further to run, and there's a willingness to run that. Lived experience, we used to ask the question, where's the lived experience in the room? Now you've got policies that state lived experience leadership must be involved, right? So it's changed. So that all presents hope, possibility. But we still do things the same way. Right. And so whilst we continue to do things the same way, there's no room for a nuance. If you become and inevitably you will, a guru in authentic leadership, right? You become a voice on authentic leadership, and what that means in our community and what that means in general. If somebody somewhere in the system wanted to introduce authentic leadership, they would probably define what that is and ask you what you think. And what they should be doing is come to you right at the beginning and say, Ivan, I need to bring in authentic leadership. How would you do it?
And then I will say, don't ask me, but I can bring you a whole bunch of people who's going to share with you what they think.
Fundamentally different conversations, aren't they? Fundamentally different. Asking you what you think rather than asking you what you would do. Two very different conversations, two very different answers. And if the only question we ask is, I want to know what you think, we won't change the answer.
No, that's why we keep repeating the same mistake.
So it all comes down to questions. But I think that at the system level, people know that. I think that all the way through the system, everybody wants to make it better. No one's talking about making it worse. Right? No. So everyone's contribution is a positive contribution. It just is difficult. And we need to acknowledge that change is difficult, and we all need to be moving towards change. And it is so much easier to point the fingers at everyone and go, you didn't do this, and you didn't do this, and I didn't do this. And go, there's an awful lot of energy involved in those conversations. It's a long journey. So how do you start a conversation today about what mental health wants to look like in 30 years' time and allow that to happen whilst improving the system? We need two conversations, we're only having one conversation. Right? And we're having the fix it now and make it better because we need to show instant action. We need both of those conversations. And they're hard to have both, but what can be done? If you gave, I don't know, NGOs a chance to answer questions, service NGOs, all right? I bet they would give you a different answer to the one that's currently given. If they had permission to have that conversation, right? But permission. But we're protecting, right? It's very difficult to have a conversation about how you change things if you think that will mean that money will be lost. Right? So how do you create, back to what you said earlier, again, it's your wisdom, Ivan, right? Well, how do we create that environment? How do we create the right environment for the conversations that we need and understand that that's a safe environment and that sits over here and you'd have to build that whilst having a day-to-day conversation over here, which is slightly different. We put more rules on top of more rules on top of more rules, and at some point you need to say, actually, there's too many rules here now. We need to strip it back and rethink. And legislation gives us a chance to do that every now and then. The Health Act bill helps us do that. Right? And these things are never perfect. Never, ever perfect, but they are a significant shift. So what are the levers? There are people in the country with the brains and the ability to do this work. Oh, absolutely. Right? Without a shadow of doubt, right across the system.
Absolutely.
From your ministry, your Te Whatu Oras, your Te Herenga Mahara, all the way through, right? There are people down to your community. There are people who can do this work.
Absolutely.
We just need to create an environment to do it. People want transformation. They also want what we've got to work better. It's all right. You have to have hope, don't we?
We do. Well, I do have hope.
Yeah, I do too.
Because people like you and other people that I know. I know you don't like it.
No, not at all. But the next generation, I think it's really important Hope is such an important thing.
Oh, I agree. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah. And so if you how do you make that message, right? And what message would you give to people who are starting their experience of mental distress in whatever form or forms that may take, right? Into however impactful that might be. I mean, that the message of hope is that over time it will change. Your journey, you will understand more, you will make changes, it will be different. I can't say what different it will be, but it will change. And I think that should give us all hope. But if you're expecting a quick fix, then that's going to be difficult. Storytelling.
Yes.
Because I'm very privileged to hear very many stories.
Yeah.
The stories are often told in terms of this was a really difficult experience and this is where I'm at. Right? And you can tell that story powerfully and it will inspire many, many, many people. But there's an awful lot in the middle that isn't a nice story.
Not at all.
Right, and people need to know that bit also exists. That's not to say that whole story needs to be told. That's not what I'm saying.
I agree.
But it needs to be acknowledged that it takes, good days, bad days, up days, down days, all sorts of different things in between times, and conversations that were harder than you thought you could ever cope with. And there was still tomorrow, and that actually was better than you thought it would have been. And so we're doing that anyway.
Yeah.
Right? That's that strength thing about lived experience, right? Everybody is journeying through good days and bad days. Lived experience just does it in a very intentional way.
That's
just get really, really better. We just get emotionally more attuned to what matters to ourselves. And that's why we, as a community, as a group, are so strong.
Yeah.
I think that's so important.
But I want to just say thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Oh.